Welcome to all of you and a heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha, would like to thank all of you for subscribing to our channels, Spotify and YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Spotify channel, then please do so that you can listen to all the audios on the go, anytime, anywhere. Today, we are going to go into a very beautiful and an enlightening discussion with Vishal Sharma ji on Vastu. Vishalji, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Anuradha.
So, Vishalji, what is the topic that we are going to take up today?
The topic we are covering is primarily on money matters and finance, and how do we manage our finance and money matters using Vastu. So that's what we will discuss.
So, and money matters are very important. In fact, if money is consistent factor in our life, there are a lot of things that go very smooth in life. On the contrary, if there is problems, crunches of money, then many things that can be more beautiful kind of goes downhill. So yes, a very beautiful topic that we're going to take up with Vishalji today is money matters. Okay, Vishalji. So there must, as we divide the kundali into many parts, so the Vastu also is divided into so many areas, zones, devtas. There must be a particular zone related to money matters. What is that zone, Vishalji?
So look, there are various zones which can be catered for finance, but primarily the key zone which we focus in is the southeast area, which is where the Lakshmi and the Venus resides, and so that's the area we are going to look at it. And southeast being the part of the fire element, so we will cover a little bit of the fire element and see how fire and southeast actually makes a difference when it comes to financial matters.
Okay, so we are going to be talking on money matters, right?
Okay, so thank you, Anuradha again. Look, the slide here is basically a representation. I'm a big fan of 2x2 matrices, so I normally use 2x2 matrices not only at work but outside my work in astrology and in Vastu. And so this is a interpretation of 16 directions, primarily the 8 and the another, the other 8 directions on top of that, which is 16. And so the southeast is where the fire element is, and it is on the right-hand corner, which is highlighted in red. So that's where the southeast direction lives, and that's where Venus is. So in terms of the key attributes, we call Dikpal. Dikpal is nothing but just the owner of that direction. That is what Shukra is. Planet is Shukra, and the Devta, which is signified by that direction or by that planet, is Agni. Agni is also used, when people marry, you keep Agni as your sakshi and do your, fairas or your ceremonies, even any pious.
Yeah, we keep Agni as one of the witnesses in our.
They are the witness that is a witness for anything you do in your life, right? The Kal is the one which actually opposes Venus, which is Mangal, right? So people who do Yogini dasha will probably and get a bit of a hang of it. But for today's topic, we'll just discuss that Kal is Mangal, which opposes Venus. The key significator for this particular zone is money, liquidity, or cash flow. Also, the food items comes into that zone, the kitchen part. But because today's discussion is money, so we'll just concentrate on that. What are the key areas which comes from this zone or this particular area is wealth, dhan, fame, yash, vaibhav, material comforts, which is to do with your car, house, cash, jewelry, anything to do with Venus will be signified here. So anything which is liquid asset, the assets which are liquid in nature will be here. Then also the glow, because fire element is also responsible how for your appearance, for your looks. So
Right.
so your glow will also come into southeast or Venus, and also how cultured you are. That is also comes from the fire element. So how cultured or how sanskari, in the Hindi, as we say, you are, is also controlled by this zone, right? Now the symbol of this, so I've highlighted some other attributes of this zone, which is primarily driven by a Devta. So the symbol is Shakti. Shakti is a weapon which is used by Lord Shiva. The story behind it is that once it is thrown or once it is delivered, it never comes back empty-handed. It will go and kill that person. The only person who can stop that is probably his wife, which is goddess Parvati. So Shakti is that weapon. So if you can find a photo of that, you can use it in remedial measures in that zone. Animal is mesh, bhed, we call it in Hindi. Similarly, also if you look at Taurus, Taurus is also known as, so the Taurus is the bull, but mesh here is the Aries part, which is your ram, right? So mesh here is bhed. Color is red, pink, because of the fire element. Color is red, element is fire. Now the fire element is future centric, and so water element is past, because moon is about emotions. Whereas so people with a good moon or afflicted moon, you will find them, they are crybaby, or they are always talking in the past. But people with Mars or Venus, or people with the fire element in their
chart,
sorry.
yes. Sun also is a fire element, right? So
Yes, people have fire element like Sun and Mars, they will be future centric, right? And also they will be good in numbers, good in crunching or analyzing the data. They like to slice and cut and slice the data. The triangle for this zone is sorry, the shape for this zone is triangle. And so I have given an example that, you know, when you look at the Sri Yantra, which is being made, you will see the small triangles are being used to make a big Sri Yantra. So triangle is the divine direction or the divine form for this direction. The metal for this zone is copper, which is used for this element. And in terms of the entrances, there are 32 entrances. So each out of the 4 zones, which is north, east, west, every direction has got 8 entrances. So from north, it will be have north 1 to north 8, and similarly from east to east 8. So in this particular zone, sorry, if you can go back, please. So in this zone, we will have E8 and S1. E8 is the last entrance of the eastern direction, and south S1 is the south first entrance of the south. So both the entrances are regarded as negative. E8 represents theft. So if this is the direction you have your entrance in this particular area in southeast, then you are prone to have theft in your house. Similarly, if you have a direction or entrance in this southeast with S1, you will have issues in having or conceiving children, right? So that's the 2 entrances. Now the remedial items you can use is desi ghee, perfume, copper, diamond. Dand and pash are the weapons or the artifacts which are being used by the devtas. So I've just highlighted that. Goddess Lakshmi, desi ghee, lamp, triangular items, camphor, and also the spoon for yagna. You know, the spoon, the wooden spoon which we use in yagnas, that can also be used here. So these are primarily some of the items which we can use in enhancing or for remedial purposes. So this is just a big overview of what Southeast looks like. In terms of the 5 elements, next please, yeah. So in terms of the 5 elements, fire is the element which is primarily controlling Southeast, and also it controls the Mars, which is the south part. So what does fire signify? Signifies transformation, confidence, and energy. Direction, in this case, we are discussing is southeast, which is a cardinal direction. So when I say cardinal direction, I mean to say that the one element is transforming into another one, which is from air to fire. That is the cardinal. And in astrology, you will call as the Gandantata, that you are moving from water to fire. Right? So that is the cardinal one. So from astrology, you can say Gandatva. Here you can say cardinal direction. So when fire moves into earth, that will be another cardinal direction. Okay, so what happens that if this zone is well balanced, if fire is there in ample amount, or is balanced, means that you have ample energy of fire in your house, then that element is balanced. So meaning that your money matters are good, you have a good confidence, you have a high strength, so you don't have any problems with the fire element. But if that element is imbalanced, meaning either you lack that element or you have excess of that element. I mean, imbalance can only happen when one element goes up and the other goes down, or one element goes extra, the other goes down, right? So either you will have excess or either you will have less. So what are the symptoms you will know that your zone is imbalanced? So the symptoms you will see when your zone is imbalanced, which is primarily the fire element, which will involve south and southeast, you will have accidents, you will have mishap, you can have theft, you can have ill fame, ladies will have miscarriages, people will suffer from acidity and indigestion, because you know that indigestion and acidity is to do with your tummy. So your digestion is not working, which needs fire. So if your fire is imbalanced, you will have indigestion and acidity. Again, when it comes to finance, you will have cash flow issues, you will have financial issues in your house or in your business or in your job. Now the question is, this is the imbalance. What are the causes of imbalance? So the causes of imbalance can be what we call as classify as anti-element. Anti-element is an element which oppose that element. So for example, in case of fire, water is the one which exhausts fire. So water is regarded as the anti-element. Similarly, space, which is also known as metal, is the other element which actually is opposes fire, or fire opposes space, because the element here is metal. So fire actually melts the metal. So if you have any metal like iron, fire will melt it. So water and space are two elements which are known as anti-elements. They don't get along. So if you have items related to fire in the related of water in the fire zone, you will have issues with fire. Similarly, if you have space or iron element or elements to do with metal here in fire, you have anti-element. So what are the anti-elements from water? Blue color, black color, wavy items, aluminium, water water tap, bathroom. Okay, storage and toilet are not just water; they are just items which will block fire. But water tank, and water tap, these are the water-based elements which will create issues in the fire element. Similarly, space, you have white color.
So suppose, sorry, just a question here. So supposing there is in this zone, I have a
Yeah.
water tank wherein I know that this cannot be remedied, or a water motor which I know cannot be remedied or put in any part of the house. So how do I go about enhancing this element and making sure that this water motor can still be kept in place?
So I think we will discuss this later on. But let me just give you the simple remedy. If you have a say water motor, or you have a motor which is running water in your southeast, then what happens is that you can use a balancing method which we use in Vastu. So for example, if you have if a motor which is controlling water, which is a water element coming into the fire zone, then you use a balancing element which comes from the air element. So the idea is that you use green color to paint that motor, or use a casing for that motor which is painted by a green color. So by using a balancer, you can use that. Similarly, another example is that if you have a water tank, then just paint it by the green color. Use the green color to cover it, so that you are using the air element to balance the energy between the water and the fire. So I think this is something I have mentioned in my some of the slides which we'll cover next. But the concept is to use the balancing method. Does that make sense? Or
that makes absolute sense, because that's why I asked. So I understood as to now that we will be able to get it together, that yes, it is a remedial measure that all of us can do without spending too much on the changes that have to be made or that can be done.
most of the stuff which we do nowadays in Vastu, which is the advanced Vastu, there is hardly any requirement for you to break or do wholesale changes in your house. The way we remediate is by just moving few stuff here and there, or by using the color therapy, or by using the iconography, or by moving or by balancing these zones by using different icons or different items. But you don't have to move, or you have to break anything, or you have to refurbish anything in your house. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. And that's the beauty of it, that traditionally people used to say, you do this, you do that. You don't have to do anything of that sort.
So,
okay, I think I still can't see. Something is wrong with the. Okay, all right, we are back. Okay, so I think that was the idea behind covering the causes of imbalance. So if we go back to next slide, Anuradha. So the idea was, okay, we saw the causes of imbalance. So we have already discussed about the anti-element. Now the other thing which I want to discuss, which is primarily very popular nowadays, is the concept of Astro Vastu. So how do we identify things if we are not being able to identify things by looking at specific zones? So the idea here is that what we use in astrology or in Western astrology is that use of aspects, which is also used in also classified as hit theory. So the idea behind it is that if you can't find anything wrong in that particular zone, in this case is southeast, then you always look at the 180-degree opposite to that, which is also known as the seventh aspect. So you are always looking at 7th aspect because you are hitting that 7th aspect, or you are hitting by 180 degree. So in this case, from southeast, you are looking towards the northwest, and you are looking for items there, which is creating trouble in that zone for fire element. Now, what is 180 degree or 7th aspect? 7th aspect is regarded as a blockage. So if you have blockage there, then it is actually impacting your cash flow. So the first thing you will look at it is go and look into the 180 degree opposite to that particular zone. So if you're looking at southeast for cash flow, look at 180 degree. If you're looking for gains, for example, in west, then also look at east, which is 180 degree opposite to that. So like that, you can apply 7th aspect for all the zones. Similarly, the other aspect which you look at is the 90 degree, which is known as the 4th aspect of interference, tension, and conflict. So if you can't find anything in the 7th aspect, then you look 4th aspect on either side, one towards southwest in this case, and another is the north aspect. So if you look at these 3 directions, in most of the cases, you should be able to find an issue there, or maybe find an element which is causing an imbalance and causing an impact to your southeast. So that's the other way to look at it, which is we primarily cover in our Astro Vastu discussions when we discuss that, right? So this is a glimpse of the hit theory, or how do we use aspects in Vastu. Similarly, the other way to find the problem is the concept of contraction, which means you have a deficiency of that zone. That means your southeast energy is missing, or you have less energy in that area. And the other concept is the extension, when you have excess of energy. So in either case, when you have less of fire, obviously there will be some other parts of the house or the property, you will have more of that element, which means water might be more or air might be more. But if you have less, the idea is that if that zone is less, yes, something like that will be cut. That means you have to enhance that energy. So you use the remedial items or the icons which we have discussed previously to put those items in that zone and try to enhance that energy. And when you have extension of, when you have excessive of that energy, then you have to figure out which zone has got excessive energy and try to take fire items to that zone as long as it is supportive of that. So you have to find the zones in the house or in the property where you can use fire to enhance that or reduce that energy, right? So extension means you have to reduce that energy. So you have to find a way how you can reduce the energy.
So Vishalji,
So
here one
that's
question
just an
is,
example. Yeah, sure.
The question here is that what happens when there is a reduction of energy or an extension of energy?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. If you have reduction, so for example, I mean, there are 5 elements, right? By default, any property should have all the 5 elements in proportion. But in most cases, or in some cases, you will see that if the one energy is less, so for example, in this case, southeast, which is fire is less, you will find the water is excessive, or you will find the metal is excessive. In most likely cases, you will find when fire is less, the metal energy is more, because fire used to control metal. So if fire is less, metal gets expanded, or the space gets expanded, because fire is controlling that. But the moment fire becomes less, you will see west is more. So when west is more, then you have to see how can I reduce west, because I have to reduce that because it is in more, so it is causing me more trouble. And how do I reduce it? Well, I can reduce it by bringing more fire there. So I can get some fire items and put it over there, for example.
Right.
And when you have extra, so for example, what is extra? Fire is extra. Who controls fire? Water controls fire. So when you have fire more, that means water is less, because water is not able to control fire.
Right.
Because water is the one which is controlling. So when you have fire, extra fire, that means your water element is less. So that means I can straight away say that you're not getting that many opportunities in the business, for example, because your fire is more. You're always worrying about cash flow. Your mind is going into that direction. Now, other way to look at it is that when an energy is less, you don't have the signification of that energy or signification related to that energy. So that means if fire is less, then you always have issues with cash flow, because that energy is not activated, or that money part is not activated. That Lakshmi is not coming. That material comfort is not coming to you, right? Because energy is less. When you have extra, then you are excessively going towards that. You're saying, I need more, I need more, I need more, I want more. Because you're not happy, because you've got too much of it. So your mind is always going, okay, how do I make more money from here? How do I make more money from here? So excess is also bad and less is also bad. The idea is to bring the harmony, bring the balance into. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hope that gives you the answer, right?
Absolutely. That covers a lot of our remedial measures also here, and this is really good to go.
The next one we wanted to discuss is the cash flow, savings, and expenditure, as we have said in the beginning. So for cash flow, we are looking at southeast, right? Now the other areas we need to concentrate when it comes to money matters is to do with savings. So west of southwest, which is just between Saturn and Rahu on the left hand side of the matrix. So west of southwest is for savings. So you have to manage your this zone, because you can have a good cash flow, you have good money coming in, but if you don't have savings, then you will not be able to save anything for future growth if you're in business, right? Similarly, if you have a lot of cash flow, you have savings as well, but you have far too much expenditure. So what are the areas you can control the expenditure? The areas to control the expenditure is south of southwest. South of southwest is where your zone of disposal, and in astrology, which is the 8th house of disposal. So that's where you have unnecessary expenditures. So you need to manage this zone, ensure that you don't have items related to your financial matters being positioned here or being kept here, right? Or you're having an impact because of this zone. So you need to manage south of southwest. East of northeast is another area, because that is the area of entertainment. So, and also northeast, that is where thought processes. So you need to ensure that you're not doing too much entertainment or you're spending too much energy, otherwise it will affect you. So E&E is one area to keep in mind. Southwest is the zone where Rahu is, which is the zone of skills. Now the southwest is important, because if you're in business or if you're in job, you should be able to utilize your skills. There is no point in having a skill and sitting at home, and you're not being able to use your skills to earn money. So southwest has to be managed, so that will eventually lead to generating some money or generating some cash flow. And the other thing which I normally say to everyone is to ensure that your center of the house is managed or well balanced or clean. Ideally, it should be empty, because if you have imbalance in center, then you will get cheated by somebody in financial matters. So for example, if you have staircase or a storage in center, you will find that you are having issues or being cheated by somebody. So that is another example. When somebody comes to me and say that, I've been cheated by a stranger in financial matters, then the first thing I say, look at what is happening in your center of the house. So like this, you can actually learn about different zones, what is happening in different zones. Similarly, north is for new openings. So that's how we control different zones. It's not just southeast, but yes, southeast primarily for cash flow, but we look at these zones as well. Just with one more example, and then we will wrap it up, Anuradha ji. So I think we have already discussed the west of southwest for piggy bank. So if you put a piggy bank there, that is for savings. But I want to give another example of a restaurant. If you can go to the restaurant example, please. Yeah, so the reason I covered the restaurant, so in restaurant business, you have kitchen, which is where you cook the food, right? So if you think about southeast is not just about cash flow; it is also about cooking food in a zone. And what is the zone where to cook food? That is your southeast. Now, if you're a restaurant owner, you won't put your cash register there. You will. The first thing you want to do is to cook a delicious food so that your customers keep coming back to your restaurant, so that they like the food and they keep coming back. So the idea is that you make your kitchen in the southeast, but to control your sale or control your cash counter or control your money coming into the business, you should open your cash counter in north. That's where you will do the maximum sale. So that's just a subtle difference how you use that zone in different capacity. Similarly, that southeast will be zone used in a different way for different areas. So this is just to highlight a subtle difference in case of restaurant.
So this is a point that I'd definitely like to ask you here, Vishalji, that this is a prototype, but it is it is like it's a modular thing, because this model will differ from business to business, operation to operation, because one, if you have a factory which is into production, so where your furnace is being kept, or where your accounts department is going to be very different from what we have as a model for a restaurant or things like that. So that is or where a
Correct.
shop is. So all those things will be very different, right?
Correct. That is true. That is true. I
Okay.
mean, different things require different treatment, I guess. I mean, that's the way to put it.
Right. Thank you so very much, Vishalji. It was a very beautiful session and everything so beautifully pointed out about the cash flow, which definitely coming back to the full circle is one of the most important areas of our life. Thank you so much, Vishalji. See you again next time with
Thank you.
in another episode with Vishalji. Until we meet with you again, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos and please subscribe बेल आइकन को दबाएं ताकि आपको वीडियोस की अपडेट मिलती रहे। हमारे वीडियोस को लाइक करें, शेयर करें, उन पर कमेंट करें और हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें।